Let's build up a strong level of unconscious skill in English. What's that? Let's talk about it. I want you to shadow me in this lesson. I'm going to say each part 2 times. You can listen carefully and then shadow, or shadow both times. Here we go. To speak English well, it's super important to build up a strong level of unconscious skill in the language. Again. To speak English well, it's super important to build up a strong level of unconscious skill in the language. An unconscious skill is basically the ability to do things automatically without even thinking about them. An unconscious skill is basically the ability to do things automatically without even thinking about them. When you chat in your native language, you don't sit there worrying about grammar rules or how to structure sentences, right? When you chat in your native language, you don't sit there worrying about grammar rules or how to structure sentences, right? It all just flows naturally because your unconscious knowledge and skill is so high in that language. It all just flows naturally because your unconscious knowledge and skill is so high in that language. If you want to speak English smoothly, you've got to work on boosting your unconscious knowledge of it. If you want to speak English smoothly, you've got to work on boosting your unconscious knowledge of it. This will make talking feel instinctive and easy, just like when you talk in your first language. This will make talking feel instinctive and easy, just like when you talk in your first language. But how do you actually get this kind of knowledge and skill? Unfortunately, it's not a walk in the park. But how do you actually get this kind of knowledge and skill? Unfortunately, it's not a walk in the park. You can't just learn it in a traditional way. And rote memorization isn't the answer either. You can't just learn it in a traditional way. And rote memorization isn't the answer either. If you're busy thinking about vocabulary and grammar while speaking English, it'll slow you down. If you're busy thinking about vocabulary and grammar while speaking English, it'll slow you down. Try to remember how you learned your first language. You soaked it in through listening and exposure, not through studying. Try to remember how you learned your first language. You soaked it in through listening and exposure, not through studying. You focused on understanding, and as you did, your brain just naturally picked up grammar and vocabulary without you even realizing it. You focused on understanding, and as you did, your brain just naturally picked up grammar and vocabulary without you even realizing it. This is the approach you should follow. You didn't stress about memorizing rules. You simply let your mind absorb the language through listening and reading for meaning. You didn't stress about memorizing rules. You simply let your mind absorb the language through listening and reading for meaning. By zeroing in on the content and letting your brain learn in the background, you can seriously step up your English skills. What is by zeroing in on? Zeroing in on is concentrating on something, focusing on it, by focusing on the content. All right, let's say it together. Ready? By zeroing in on the content and letting your brain learn in the background, you can seriously step up your English skills. If you want to achieve fluency, the main things to focus on are listening and speaking practice. If you want to achieve fluency, the main things to focus on are listening and speaking practice. Listening and getting regular exposure to English is crucial for fluency since it helps you get used to the nuances of the language. Listening and getting regular exposure to English is crucial for fluency since it helps you get used to the nuances of the language. Without enough listening practice, coming up with sentences and understanding vocabulary can feel tough and overwhelming. Without enough listening practice, coming up with sentences and understanding vocabulary can feel tough and overwhelming. Consistently listening to English enables you to become comfortable with the language, which in turn makes speaking easier. Consistently listening to English enables you to become comfortable with the language, which in turn makes speaking easier. Ultimately, giving your brain plenty of input is essential for making progress. Ultimately, giving your brain plenty of input is essential for making progress. Should you also add reading to the mix? Definitely. Get into both listening and reading. But if you're short on time, I'd say prioritize listening. Should you also add reading to the mix? Definitely. Get into both listening and reading. But if you're short on time, I'd say prioritize listening. It helps you tune into the sounds of English, like pronunciation and rhythm. It helps you tune into the sounds of English, like pronunciation and rhythm. And when you watch movies or videos with subtitles in English, you're actually reading while listening, which is a bonus. And when you watch movies or videos with subtitles in English, you're actually reading while listening, which is a bonus. You're probably reading this text while listening right now. You're probably reading this text while listening right now. When you learn with videos, podcasts, audiobooks, or TV shows, make sure the subtitles are in English, not your native language. When you learn with videos, podcasts, audiobooks, or TV shows, make sure the subtitles are in English, not your native language. You might be curious about what type of content is best for learning English. You might be curious about what type of content is best for learning English. The answer is pretty straightforward. Just go for whatever you enjoy. Watch or listen to stuff you find interesting. It's really that easy. The answer is pretty straightforward. Just go for whatever you enjoy. Watch or listen to stuff you find interesting. It's really that easy. If you push yourself to engage with content that doesn't excite you, it's easy to lose motivation and get bored. If you push yourself to engage with content that doesn't excite you, it's easy to lose motivation and get bored. Pick topics that you're passionate about to keep the learning fun. Pick topics that you're passionate about to keep the learning fun. So, how much time should you dedicate to listening every day? Well, the simple answer is as much as you can. So, how much time should you dedicate to listening every day? Well, the simple answer is as much as you can. Your brain needs a lot of input to really master a language. So the more you listen and practice, the better you'll get. Your brain needs a lot of input to really master a language. So the more you listen and practice, the better you'll get. The more practice time you can squeeze in, the faster your overall English skills will improve. The more practice time you can squeeze in, the faster your overall English skills will improve. And yeah, speaking English is a skill like any other. So practicing is super important for getting better. And yeah, speaking English is a skill like any other. So practicing is super important for getting better. If you want to speak well, you really need to get out there and practice. Open your mouth and start talking in English. If you want to speak English well, you really need to get out there and practice. Open your mouth and start talking in English. But what if you don't have anyone to talk to? Some people try talking to themselves in English, but there are a couple of downsides to this approach. But what if you don't have anyone to talk to? Some people try talking to themselves in English, but there are a couple of downsides to this approach. First, when you're just chatting with yourself, you're not really picking up any new words or phrases. You're just going over what you already know. First, when you're just chatting with yourself, you're not really picking up any new words or phrases. You're just going over what you already know. This doesn't help you learn something new. Second, if you keep making grammar and pronunciation mistakes while talking to yourself, you won't correct them. This doesn't help you learn something new. Second, if you keep making grammar and pronunciation mistakes while talking to yourself, you won't correct them. So, you might get quicker at speaking, but your English could end up being hard to understand, since it won't sound like a native speaker. So, you might get quicker at speaking, but your English could end up being hard to understand, since it won't sound like a native speaker. What about chatting with someone online? The same issues can pop up. If your conversation partner is also learning English, they're probably making mistakes too. What about chatting with someone online? The same issues can pop up. If your conversation partner is also learning English, they're probably making mistakes too. Which means you both end up using flawed English, incorrect grammar, and incomplete sentences. Which means you both end up using flawed English, incorrect grammar, and incomplete sentences. Plus, if your partner has a limited vocabulary, it might not help you build your own word bank. Plus, if your partner has a limited vocabulary, it might not help you build your own word bank. I'm not saying to steer clear of chatting with other learners. It's totally fine to do it now and then. I'm not saying to steer clear of chatting with other learners. It's totally fine to do it now and then. But if you really want to boost your speaking skills, your output training needs to be focused. But if you really want to boost your speaking skills, your output training needs to be focused. I'm going to say that one more time because it's so important. But if you really want to boost your speaking skills, your output training needs to be focused. You should do some focused practice with content that's been chosen on purpose. You should do some focused practice with content that's been chosen on purpose. This could mean watching videos, listening to podcasts, or getting into a TV series that you can imitate. This could mean watching videos, listening to podcasts, or getting into a TV series that you can imitate. That's important, huh? The goal is to soak up new vocabulary and proper grammar, which will help you sound more like a native speaker. The goal is to soak up new vocabulary and proper grammar, which will help you sound more like a native speaker. One great way to practice is to shadow native speakers. Basically, repeat what you hear out loud. One great way to practice is to shadow native speakers. Basically, repeat what you hear out loud. Don't just mimic the words. Try to match the rhythm, pronunciation, and emotion in their voice too. Don't just mimic the words. Try to match the rhythm, pronunciation, and emotion in their voice too. The trick is to keep practicing with focused input that gives you regular exposure to real, authentic English. The trick is to keep practicing with focused input that gives you regular exposure to real, authentic English. As you get better, you can step up your practice with material specifically designed to help you sharpen your speaking skills. As you get better, you can step up your practice with material specifically designed to help you sharpen your speaking skills. Practice with English content created to help you master that natural native speech. Practice with English content created to help you master that natural native speech. The videos I make for the Practice Paradise course are all about making your practice time efficient and enjoyable. The videos I make for the Practice Paradise course are all about making your practice time efficient and enjoyable. So that's your roadmap to fluency. Develop a strong foundation of unconscious knowledge while you exercise your English speaking muscles. Develop a strong foundation of unconscious knowledge while you exercise your English speaking muscles. If you feel like it, join me in Practice Paradise for a focused output practice session with input content that is both effective and fun. Is that good? If you feel like it, if you're in the mood, join me in Practice Paradise anytime, any day, 24 hours, 7 days a week. I am open for business, and you can take your focused output practice session with input content that is both effective and fun. Hopefully, it's effective and fun. And that's it. We did it. Boom. Good workout, everybody. Keep moving forward. I know this was a long lesson. If you tried to shadow me, you're probably exhausted right now. But that's a good thing. Exercise your English speaking muscles. One step at a time. I'll see you in the next step.